In a small, quiet village called Sampa, there once lived an elderly woman named Asantewaa. She was well known in her community, having lived there her entire life and raised 5 children. However, in her old age, Asantewaa found herself utterly alone. Her children, who had grown up and moved on, no longer cared for her. Rumors spread by some local pastors claimed that Asantewaa was a witch, and her children, fearful and swayed by these whispers, distanced themselves from her. Though she had once given them everything she could, they had now turned away, leaving her to fend for herself. Asantewaa's frail body and weakened hands could no longer earn a living, and she struggled to find food and medicine. Each day she roamed the village, humbly begging for scraps or any help that kind strangers could offer. The pain of her children's rejection weighed heavily on her, yet her spirit remained kind and gentle. In the same village lived a young tomato farmer, a man of great energy and optimism. He was determined to succeed, though year after year he faced one setback after another. His crops were often stunted by unpredictable weather, pests, and a market that didn't always favor small farmers like him. Despite his efforts, he barely made enough to support himself and his family. One harvest season, as the farmer gathered his remaining tomatoes, he noticed Asantewaa quietly walking through his field, picking up the tomatoes left behind. She was careful not to disturb the plants, gently gathering only those left in the dirt. At first, the farmer thought she was stealing, but instead of reacting harshly, he decided to watch her. He saw an old woman, bent with age, holding the tomatoes as though they were a treasure. The next day, Asantewaa returned to his farm, holding a small bundle wrapped in cloth. She approached the farmer, her eyes both apologetic and grateful. "Young man," she said, her voice soft yet resolute. "Yesterday, I took some of the leftover tomatoes from your field. I sold them at the market, and I came to share half of what I earned with you." The farmer was taken aback by her honesty and humility. He looked at the coins in her hand and felt a pang of guilt, realizing that she had needed those tomatoes far more than he did. Gently, he pushed her hand away, declining the money. Instead, he invited her to sit with him under the shade of a nearby tree, where they spoke for hours. Asantewaa shared stories from her youth, tales of her family, and the sorrows of her present life. The farmer listened with respect and compassion, realizing how much she had endured. From that day on, the young farmer and his wife took it upon themselves to care for Asantewaa. Each day, his wife would prepare meals and send a portion to Asantewaa, ensuring she never went hungry again. Asantewaa, deeply grateful, grew to see the farmer and his family as her own. The years passed, and the bond between them strengthened, a quiet testament to kindness and generosity in a world that had often turned its back on both of them. After 5 years of this newfound companionship, the farmer's fortunes took an unexpected turn. Investors from the city came to Sampa, drawn by rumors of valuable land for diamond mining. They approached the young farmer, offering to purchase his small plot of land for a significant sum. Thrilled and overwhelmed, he shared the news with Asantewaa, who listened with a twinkle in her eye. Then, to the farmer's amazement, she revealed that she owned over 170 acres of land nearby. "I've had this land for many years," she said with a smile. "I always dreamed it would bring something good to my family, but perhaps its purpose was to help someone like you instead." With Asantewaa's blessing, the farmer introduced the investors to her. Intrigued by the size of her property, they decided to survey the land. After thorough prospecting, they discovered that her land was indeed rich with diamonds, even more so than they had hoped. The investors quickly offered to buy it for over $1 million, a sum that changed Asantewaa's life in an instant. That very day, Asantewaa went to the village notary and wrote a will. She left all of her money and future royalties from the land to the young farmer who had taken her in when no one else would. Her gratitude was so deep that she saw no one else as deserving. She specified in her will that not a single coin was to go to her estranged children who had abandoned her in her time of need. Moreover, she declared a solemn curse, warning that any of her children who tried to take a part of her fortune would bring misfortune upon themselves and their descendants. When her children learned of Asantewaa's immense wealth and her will, they were furious. They had heard the news of the diamond sale and realized what they had forfeited. Immediately, they took the young farmer to court, demanding what they called their birthright. But Asantewaa's will was unbreakable. Her declaration was clear, and the court found no grounds to alter her wishes. Her children returned to court repeatedly over the years, trying to challenge the will, but each time they failed. Asantewaa lived many more years in a small, comfortable home that the farmer built for her. She spent her days peacefully, surrounded by the warmth of a family who loved her as their own. When she finally passed, she left behind a legacy of resilience, kindness, and the importance of loyalty. Her children, still haunted by her curse, continued to fight for her fortune in court, but her will remained a powerful reminder of the love she had received from the young farmer, a love worth more than any riches. And so, Asantewaa's story lives on, a tale of humility, gratitude, and the surprising ways that life rewards those who act with compassion.